hand. So as we continue on in chapter 2, let me encourage you to first of all read. You should have a good understanding what area you're interested in, what's been written in that topic, who are the experts in that topic. It will help you as you develop your own research question, and it will help you as you think about answering maybe an old research question. I love this quote. There's a expectation as a professional for you to know the literature, and that's true even as an exercise science student, especially as a junior or senior. And so Bookwater stated, knowledge of the literature in the field and critical insight into the research in the student's major field of interest is considered evidence of high scholarship. And so here, scholarship. And so we do want you to be in the literature and being a consumer of the literature and being able to conduct research. When we talk about a literature review, the purposes of a literature review, first of all, it will help you identify and clarify the research problem that you want to study. It will help you with developing your hypotheses, and then eventually your review will also help you set up your methods. So the literature review is a very, very important part of the research process. Moving on, there are 6 steps in the literature search. First of all, write your problem statement, and that's what you're doing this week. Hopefully you've done it. If not, you're in the process of doing it. Then you want to consult what we would consider secondary sources, things such as encyclopedias or research reviews where they are taking research studies and talking about them, but they wouldn't be primary sources. Primary sources would be the actual research study. A research review might take a series of studies and review each one. So as you begin, consult some secondary sources. Get your descriptors down. So as you do a search, we know that the better your descriptors are, the more likely you're going to be to get the research that you're looking for. So really work hard at getting good descriptors. Here now we get into primary sources using bibliographies and computer searches. And then you want to record and the literature that you do read, and then you want to write the review. So, you're going to go through these steps in this class. You're in the process of writing your problem statement. Hopefully you're consulting some secondary sources, as well as getting your descriptors clearly, concisely identified, then finding some primary sources through computer searches specifically, and then finding those articles that are of most interest and most value to you, and reading and recording that literature, and eventually writing your final literature review. It sounds like a lot, but again, if you go step by step and are very methodical and don't procrastinate, you'll find that the literature review process is a great way to learn about the topic of interest that you're investigating. Talking about computer searches, I am assuming most of you have already been on the computer, used our library, been on databases, but obviously in today's world, really everything is right at your fingertips. In our field, and again, this is not all exclusive, there are other databases, but some of the ones used in our field would be ERIC, the Physical Education Index, Medline, the PsycInfo, ProQuest, and the one I use a lot would be Sport Discus. Recently, I've been using Google Scholar, and that seems to be helpful as well. So I just encourage you to don't limit yourself. Make sure that you are exploring the various databases and finding the best research articles for you to proceed in your research study. As you're getting into the research and reading and recording the literature, you'll find that most of the studies you will read will have the same basic format. As you read, you'll see an introduction section along with a statement of the problem. A hypothesis is stated. They'll give you characteristics of who was in the study, what they used as far as methods, instruments, tests used, how they tested, the variables, independent, dependent. We'll talk about definitions of those later. What treatments were applied. Again, you'll see the statistical analysis that's done, and don't let that bog you down. Again, depending on your background and your familiarity with statistics, but try to get the general idea of what the statistics are saying. You'll see the findings as well. So often you'll see the statistics are written out, but also the statistics are displayed through graphs and charts. And then findings. Any questions about further study often is found as you read the article. I think one of the most valuable parts to the article is the citations to other studies. Because often when you get into an area of interest that you want to investigate, there'll be a core of people who have done a lot of research in that area, and you'll see their names coming up again and again. So whenever you find a good article, definitely go to the references and see who is being cited, and if their names coming up again and again, those are probably some of the key people that you want to find, and to find those specific articles that they have written on the topic. As you're reading, I encourage you to have a working bibliography. Take notes. That can be, in the old days, we used to use note cards. Now there are a computerized system. I know in our library you can have your own file folder electronically. You can put articles in there. There's a variety of ways you can take notes now, but it's important that you're organized, that you have a good filing system, and that the articles that you do find that you want to use, it's easy for you to get your hands on them. The most frustrating thing is to have an article, you know it's out there, but you didn't file it correctly or well, and now you can't find it. So take time in how you're going to actually organize as you find the research articles that you want to use. Again, you're evaluating the sources as you go along. Often you'll start by reading the abstract. After reading the abstract, you might decide, no, this is not an article I'm very interested in, or maybe it's an article I might use, or yeah, this looks like exactly what I'm looking for. I encourage you to read the article if it's one that you think has a high priority on your list and that would help you in understanding the topic and knowing more about it. Don't just read abstracts. The articles that have a high priority to you, you need to read thoroughly. But there's a lot of articles out there, so don't spend a lot of time. The abstract is a great way to do an initial evaluation of whether or not that's an article you do want to read. As you begin writing your literature review, develop some sort of topical outline, get some organization to your review, help the reader follow what you're trying to say. You might use headings to do that. There's a lot of literature out there on your topic. How are you going to organize that literature review to help your reader follow what you're trying to say? So organizing in a way you would do any paper. You have to decide how much information are you going to give. So again, try to identify the critical, the historic, the landmark studies that have been done in that area, and then other related studies that would help. As you write your review for the final paper, you would have your introduction, your body of your review, and then summary and conclusions.